Okay, so we're talking today with Dwight Garland. He's a principal of NK&A Marketing. I started working with NK&A about 5 years ago. I'm the admin, and I work remotely in Utah while they are located in Massachusetts. And I believe that the admins they had in the past were in Massachusetts as well, weren't they, Dwight?
Correct, they were, yes.
So what made you decide to hire a remote worker?
Well, first of all, we realized that there was really no reason why we needed to narrow, our search and our view of the marketplace. It didn't really matter to us whether we had somebody who was from, Utah or Alaska or Boston or Florida or really overseas for that matter. So if you think about it, if you want the best candidate, why not just open it up? And that way you can find not only people who have the right fit as far as knowledge and experience, but also people you can get along with too. So it made sense once we stepped away and thought about it.
Right. Once you decided to look for a remote worker, how did you go about it? I mean, what was your process?
What we did is we went to our networks and we looked at who we could tap into, get recommendations from, that kind of thing. And it was kind of interesting. I mean, we got recommendations for all sorts of people in all sorts of places. And in our instance, actually one of Victoria's contacts recommended we talk to somebody in Utah. So we were like, sure, why not?
What was important to you when you were looking for a remote worker?
A part of this is just in a general perspective, but part of it is also based upon the history that we'd had. So we wanted people who had skills that we didn't have. And we wanted people who also were willing to learn, because for the most part, we were learning, but we were pretty engrossed in our work. So we wanted somebody who could go off and could learn and had a willingness to learn. And then probably the most important thing was attitudinal, because in a way, you don't want to hire people that are exactly like you in life in general, because it sort of doesn't give you as many opportunities. However, if you attitudinally are similar, and if you have good attitudes, you can make great things happen. So for us, that was a really big piece of it, because we'd hired some good people. Not all of them were really as boisterous and energetic and fun as we were. We needed somebody who was like that.
So I feel like with the COVID-19 pandemic, there's more of an opportunity for remote work, or at least it feels like the world is kind of embracing that now. Suppose you had a worker who wanted to be remote, who saw that possibility. How would you recommend that they approach a supervisor about that?
Well, I think the timing is perfect. I mean, in other words, and this is a caveat, so I'm going to mess up your timing here. But like, for instance, I have kids myself who are older and professionals. And ironically, like one of the jobs that my oldest son is looking for, because he lost his job during the COVID-19 pandemic, is local. The job is local. It's in Boston. It's perfect. But here's the problem. It's remote. He doesn't need to go anywhere. So I guess what I'm saying is that I point that out because we tend to think of all the old ways of perceiving things, that we find jobs in specific locations and as we go to work and this and that. But the whole shift, the whole pivot, moving from traditional modes to today's with remote working, has become a normal way of working. So to me, it makes total sense for people to pursue this now. Because I think that if somebody says, "Oh, but you don't live close by," and you go, "Well, I don't know about you, but I've been working this way for the last 3 months. How's it worked for you? It's worked fine by me. I'm interested. It really shouldn't be a barrier. Let's test this." That's what I would do. I would engage people, challenge them, and make them say why they wouldn't do it, because you have a lot of reasons to do it.
Too true. Are there any skills that you would recommend they make sure they have before they pursue remote work?
Yes, I think so. And by the way, I would say that this has to do with remote work. I think it has to do with all work. One thing that I've always noticed is if you're interested in a company, lots of times people just throw things out there. They go off and they send their resumes, they send their cover letters, they say, "Oh, I applied for 200 jobs today." And by the way, that's really not the way to look for work. The way to look for work is to find those 10 to 20 companies that you're interested in, because you do your homework, you read about them, you say, I'm interested in this company, I like what they're doing, I want, I want to work there. And then you do your homework, you go off and you study them, you realize what they do, you find out who their customers are, you find out what are the key benefits that they offer. And then the hard part is this part, is that you try to figure out what it is that you could offer that would benefit that company. And then you go in and you lead with that. You talk to them on the phone and you say, you know something, I think from what I see, what would really benefit you would be if you did blank. I went off and I did some research on this. This is what I think could help you. The person on the other end of the line is going to think, my goodness, this person took the time to understand. They're actually coming to me with solutions as opposed to coming and saying, I just want a job. So to me, that is a huge benefit if you can look for work from that perspective. And in this time, the location should not prohibit you from doing that.
So you kind of make your own position.
You make your own position, right?
Huh.
Yep. You create it. Yep.
So suppose you're a potential employee and you're interviewing with a company for a remote position.
Yep.
What questions would you recommend that they ask the potential employer?
Well, I'm not sure it's all that dramatically different. I mean, I think when I've interviewed for jobs, and I don't know if it's this way with you, Eliza, but I'm always fascinated to find out what's culturally going on with the company.
Mm-hmm.
What are they like? What did they think? Can I see myself fitting in here? I think you're going to ask a lot of those questions. You know what I'm saying? Because even though you're not going to see people, it's still going to matter. It's still going to matter. And then I think it comes down to, asking questions that aren't just the normal questions. What do you guys do? No. What's the thing you're most proud of your company? What have you worked on a project with other people in your organization that you really felt good about? What kind of people do you really like to work with? These kind of questions, I think, can really show what you want, but they also show that you're interested in the company and you're interested in the people that work there. And that's what people want to know. I mean, I can't tell you, I've done so many interviews in my lifetime, and so many of them are very rote. And that's not really what I'm interested in. And I don't think it's what most people are interested in. So, go ask meaningful questions.
Yeah, that's much more helpful too.
It's much more helpful for you and for them. Yep.
Yes.